and gentlemen, welcome to TWitWoW Request Live number 6. This is a big one because it is the road to WrestleMania, and a very generous donor, Javaris Carter, donated for us to review WrestleMania 19.
Oh, brother, this WrestleMania. So much to talk about. Again, like I said on our NXT review, you know, the final push to promote that we were going to be reviewing this today, this WrestleMania is still to this day in hot debate with WrestleMania 17 over which one is the best WrestleMania of all time. And again, even with all the WrestleManias we've had since both of those WrestleManias, the debate still rages on, and for good reason why. This show was so much fun. I thoroughly enjoyed watching this.
The rare thing about this show that makes it so special, I think, is how clean it was, because there were very few interferences. There was very, very limited shenanigans. There was a lot of there were a lot of clean, just one-on-one matches, or, you know, there were, I think, 2 triple threat matches, but it was all very clean. There were no schmoz matches. It was just a good WrestleMania with everything just kind of made sense, and it was like a SmackDown and Raw separate branded thing, so we had separate commentary teams, and they both knew the matches that they were going to be commentating really, really well. And I just feel like this WrestleMania, it's like, it might be the cleanest, sharpest, most well put together WrestleMania of all time.
Oh, brother, you're not even wrong. And where I really have to credit this WrestleMania, and I say this with all sincerity, the stuff that had the potential to be cringeworthy or painful, so to speak, to my viewing experience, I feel like it was very minimized and just very succinctly wrapped up. It didn't really overstay its welcome. It didn't prolong itself. And yeah, it was like 98% quality content, and that 2% was barely even registered because it was just handled so quickly. So yeah, this WrestleMania, it knew why it was here. Seattle was fantastic.
Seattle's a great crowd, man.
Absolutely. Seattle just did absolutely tremendous. And man, I can't wait for us to talk about all these different matches. I mean, some of the discussions I think you and I are getting ready to have tonight should be very interesting. And again, thanks to Jarveris for the Patreon donation. This is his request. I know he's been so hyped about this. Every review that we've done leading up to this, he's like, my Patreon request. Well, it's happening today, brother. So enjoy every second of it. Partner, I'm ready to get into this when you are.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, if you want, we can get into it like you just said. And the first thing that we got on this show was a pretty cool video package where everyone's kind of talking about what makes WrestleMania special to them.
Dude, I love this shit. Like, I gotta tell you a story. My senior year, I did I was in a public speaking course, and I forget what my speech was on, but I used a wrestling clip where they were talking about the road to WrestleMania, and I always love that. Like, I'm a mark for that stuff, when people can just let the guard down and not even speak necessarily as their characters, but speak like, yeah, I wanted to do wrestling since insert age here, and WrestleMania that just embodies all of that to me, and I get goosebumps every time. And this video package, the perfect tone setter for a show like this. I loved it.
And you know what, dude? I got to tell you, I think a big part of this, and the big reason that I wanted to talk about this, is because something that you hear a lot lately from sort of, I guess, insiders, guys like Meltzer, people who are either in or used to be in the business, is that WrestleMania isn't necessarily for wrestling fans.
Right.
I think this WrestleMania was 100% meant to be for wrestling fans, and it was great.
Oh, I completely agree. Dude, with the way the main event was wrestled, like, even that alone, like, putting everything else in a vacuum, if you're just to focus on the main event, the last thing you see, yeah, this was for wrestling fans, without question.
Well, and not only just the main event, but also if you look on this show, how many celebrity guests were on this show?
I really don't even remember that many. Like, yeah, it wasn't that obnoxious at all. Like, they had two.
I'm gonna say 3 actually, because there were the Cat Fight girls, which Granted, that was probably the worst part of the show, but it was kept to a very, very small percentage of the show. It was a bare minimum. And Limp Bizkit, and that's it. Those were the only celebrities on this entire show.
Yeah, they didn't parade them out. It was very minimized, and I got to tell you, that was so refreshing. Because, you know, especially in recent years, that WWE just, like, loves to name drop, loves to have the camera going around. Oh, look who we have in the audience tonight. Yeah, I'm not here for them. I'm here for the performers, thanks. And, yeah, this WrestleMania definitely kept focus on that. That's just tremendous.
Yeah, there were no celebrity appearances. There was only one instance of an old retired legend showing up to do something that might have made somebody on the current product look bad or even like just lesser in any way whatsoever. And that was Roddy Piper, just to bring that up. But that was in a match that already had two older guys in it already. So really, this WrestleMania was for wrestling fans, and it's hotly contested among the best WrestleMania of all time.
Yes, absolutely.
So WWE, if you've lost your way and you've decided, you know, WrestleMania, that doesn't need to be for wrestling fans. We're going to target that at people who don't watch wrestling, I guess. Yeah, this is what happens when you get it right.
Exactly, because this show, to say it was stupendous, to really ascribe to it any term, I feel like would be doing it an injustice. You know,
Now, I think
amazing.
you might be going a little bit overboard because as great as this show was, it was far from flawless. I did have some complaints. I did have some problems with this show. But when you compare, when you compare this show to any WrestleMania in the last decade, the only WrestleMania in the last decade that comes anywhere close to this is 30.
Yeah, and I was thinking the same thing. Look, brother, make no mistake. I have my critiques as well, and like I said, we're going to have some very spirited discussions about some of these matches, I'm sure. But compared to recent Manias, hell, compared to just the recent WWE product, like this really did take me back to a time, you know, that I'm just like, damn, it feels so cool to be a wrestling fan, you know, and it feels so amazing to be a wrestling fan. And yeah, like this, for those reasons, really was phenomenal. Again, not flawless, but I had a lot of fun with this show, for sure. And like I said, I can't wait to get into these matches with you.
Well, then, let's get right into our opening bout. Rey Mysterio versus Matt Hardy for the Cruiserweight Championship. This was a quicker match, but it was pretty fun while it lasted, and I think they did a good job of getting heat on Matt Hardy and then giving Rey some cool comeback spots and stuff like that. And then, of course, Matt Hardy going over in one of the heelish ways possible was pretty great.
Oh, yeah. See, like, I love matches like this because it shows, like, if you have two quality workers, time really isn't a factor because I thought this was a great opener. I love the version 1 Matt Hardy gimmick, like the Mattitude Facts. I think one of the Mattitude Facts was this is Matt Hardy's 4th WrestleMania, and then Matt Hardy still wonders how they did WrestleMania without him. And then commentary with the Mattitude gimmick, because already like they had the little thing where like his followers are called MFers, Mattitude followers, and then they're talking about his dieting and his conditioning to reach 220. And Taz is like, oh yeah, he's giving up BJ's, he's giving up banana juice, and I'm like, you guys know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. But yeah, just great stuff with the gimmick. You know, Shannon Moore at ringside, he played a part, and Rey Mysterio, man. I mean, say what you will today. I mean, I certainly have. But there's a reason he has the distinction as one of the greatest, if not the greatest luchador of all time, because just the way he moves, especially here when he was healthier, unbelievable. You know, really great back from that. And I thought the finish was clever, you know, because Matt Hardy cheated to win, and Rey tried for that victory roll after he kind of balanced himself on the ropes and got himself in position, which was just a great sequence in itself. But yeah, Matt Hardy stole one. And yeah, this is just two great guys. And I don't know how much longer after this they would have that SmackDown match where they main evented and Rey finally would win the title in his hometown. But I feel like that was only a little bit after this. And yeah, this is a great chapter of their rivalry, and Matt gets the win.
Yeah, he does. And, you know, I think they did a really good job of maintaining Mysterio's credibility here because Matt really sunk into that pin attempt, and then the use of the ropes on top of it made it almost impossible for Rey to kick out.
Yes. Yeah, I thought that finish was very clever, and it kept Rey strong. You know, it's like if we were going on a wrestling basis, Rey had the Cruiserweight title won, but, you know, Matt had his ingenuity, he had great ring presence, and he used the rope, and that would definitely guarantee Rey a rematch down the road.
go. All right, so I guess that's about all we have to say about that. And then we had the whole, the Cat Fight girls limo showing up, and these two women walk out of it, and they start arguing about which match will be better tonight between Hogan, Vince, and Austin Rock, which I find kind of hilarious because they weren't even mentioning the SmackDown matches. Triple H, or actually Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar, and then what was the other? Because Hogan, Vince, Triple H, Booker T, and Austin Rock, those were all Raw matches, weren't they?
No. Hogan Vince was a SmackDown match because Cole and Ted called it.
Okay.
And yeah, that was
so
heavily promoted on SmackDown. Yeah.
That's surprising. I don't remember Vince ever being on SmackDown, but that makes more sense than what I thought it was going to be. Okay, so that's pretty cool then. But still, I've got to point out, the one woman, I don't think it was even in this segment, it was in the later segment. The one woman didn't even know how to pronounce Hulk Hogan's name.
I know. Yeah, dude, I tried
She kept on being like, Hulk Hogan.
I'm like, what is going on? Like, was this Dana Brooke before Dana Brooke? Like, what's happening?
Well, I think the difference there is that Dana Brooke is supposed to actually be an athlete.
Yeah, there you go.
Or I guess I should say an entertainer.
I was just glad that the presence of these two really didn't drag on too long. Because, I kept it together. I wanted to burst out laughing so bad, but I'm like, no, just be nice. But yeah, this was bad, and I'm just glad that their role was minimized throughout the night. But yeah, I mean, hey, the debate that they had, I'm sure many other people had, it just wasn't as hilarious.
And I just thought it was weird that they didn't even mention Lesnar Angle, but I guess if you just pay attention to who it is, if they're trying to be the stereotypical ditzy blondes, it would make sense that the matches they'd be arguing about are the old guys and the most iconic people in the company.
Right. I mean, they're pretty much wearing the label casual fan, because I feel like a casual fan that really doesn't keep their finger heavily on the pulse would go to these people first.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. So then we get our first Limp Bizkit concert of the night. Keep rolling, 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 rolling. Can I just point out how weird it is that Limp Bizkit raps in two different voices? Because he has the intense rolling, rolling, rolling voice, but then he also has this weird high-pitched voice that he does, and it's really obnoxious.
Yeah, I mean, like I told you when we were kind of talking about it, Limp Bizkit, when he's doing studio versions of his songs, I can listen to that. And I'm the same way with a lot of artists, so he's not alone. But live performances, I don't know. I've never really met a musician perform live where I'm like, man, that was just as good as the studio version.
Oh, well, I'll help you out with that, because I know a few really, really good performers that are arguably even better live than they are on a CD.
Right. Yeah, Limp Bizkit ain't that disgusting.
No. I mean, to be fair, I've never really been a big fan of Limp Bizkit, regardless of medium. He had one song that I liked when I was 10 years old, and that was, I think it was called Break Stuff.
Oh, interesting.
The one that was it's all about the he said, she said bullshit.
Yeah.
I used to like that song when I was 10 years old.
There are two songs from Limp Bizkit that even to this day I really like, and one of them was, the WrestleMania 19 theme, Crack Addict. I appreciate it. And then
and he performed that later in the night too, so you got your fulfillment on that.
Yeah, we could say that, couldn't we? But then the other song, because it's not really him going hard and rapping, it's actually more toned down. Build a Bridge, I think, is an amazing Limp Bizkit song.
I can't say I've ever heard that one.
I think it's good. They used that for Survivor Series. I want to say 2004.
Maybe I have heard it then.
No, it might have. Wait. I want to say 2003. 2003, because Benoit won the 04 Royal Rumble. So it would have to be 03. So there we go. But I thought that was a great song because it was more toned down, wasn't as aggressive. I'm like, damn, you could actually feel some emotion in there. But getting back to this that sucked. He sings Undertaker's song. Undertaker comes out, but he doesn't have, oh my God, this traveling is too hard, I'm going to quit, Nathan Jones by his side, because on Sunday Night Heat, and I actually remember this segment because WrestleMania, that was 2003 19, right?
Yeah.
So you figure that was 14 years ago because it's 2017 now. So you figure I was 11 years old when this happened. And I remember some of these segments like Nunzio being like, hey, I got your wallet. Nunzio, I don't even know how he got his nose in some of the business that he got it in, but I digress. And then, Big Show and A-Train are walking out of the bathroom like, now the numbers are in our favor. So Taker comes out. We know it's going to be a handicap match. And
And
I
the
mean, what?
deep irony is that Nathan Jones ends up showing up anyway.
Yeah, yeah. And really, you could say like he was the difference maker because he showed up at the most critical point. But what
Yep.
did you think about this match, man?
Well, this is arguably one of like the bottom 5 worst Undertaker WrestleMania matches.
Right.
But at the same time, at the very beginning, like, here's what I want to say that is going to be controversial, although I know at least one person in our chat will agree with me. I think this is my favorite version of The Undertaker.
Oh yeah, it's great because I think he shows more personality probably because he talks more around this
Well,
time.
yeah, and not only that, but his entrance is so much shorter because he doesn't have to walk 50 feet. He just drives his motorcycle out.
Absolutely. Um, Here's the thing where I stand with the match. I agree with you that relative to his other, WrestleMania matches, yeah, this is definitely bottom 5. But even that said, though, this wasn't a bad match. I feel like you got 3 quality workers in there. I actually liked A-Train when he was going on his run. I was
Dude,
excited for him to get
I
this.
actually, yeah, like he was good in this. Like even like at the very beginning before the match even started, like he was messing with the bike and he like spit on the the motorcycle seat, and
Yeah.
then like the bell rings and Taker hits an instant choke slam as he like ducks under the top rope for Big Show to spill out. Instant choke slam on A-Train and goes for a pin for a 2 count. And then like the Big Show ends up getting kind of involved and then kind of throws Taker back into the ring. And A-Train hits what I knew as the Baldo bomb, but they called it the derailer here.
Yeah, dude, it's funny because he went from like the hip hop from my time, right? The hip hop hippo Albert to A Train, then of course to Tenzai. But yeah, the A Train.
Don't forget, he was Lord Tensai. Then he became just Tensai. Then he became Sweet Tea.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, A Train I think has got to be my favorite gimmick that he's had because
Yeah.
I remember when he originally turned on Scotty 2 Hotty, I'm like, you know what? I dig this. And this was way before obviously Johnny Scumbag. And then I remember when he had that little feud with Mysterio and I'm like, man, they're actually pushing him because I only remembered at that point him working Velocity shows. Yeah, remember that fucking show? And then you see him at a freaking Mania and you're like, wow, how far he has come. And it had to mean the world to him. So yeah, I mean, you got 2 big guys that really know how to work, and the Undertaker, and he actually did some cool stuff
I
here.
thought you were going to say 2 big guys that really know how to work and the Big Show.
I even liked him here. But this was before Big
No,
Show,
but
and
like
then he
the
got shit.
implication was that there were 2 guys that
Right.
knew how to work and 1 guy that didn't. And then you named the Undertaker. And it's like, wait, Taker knows how to work too. Come on, man.
Exactly. I mean, Taker did some cool stuff here. I mean, that one leap when he vaults over, I believe it was A-Train at one point. I think he does like an arm drag. Like I was like, that's an impressive feat of athleticism. And
Dude,
then
the thing is, like, all 3 of these guys are gigantic, and all 3 of them are weirdly athletic for their size. Like, Taker has always been a really agile big man. Big Show in his prime was doing kip-ups and missile drop kicks, and Albert, we saw some of his athleticism in this match.
Oh yeah, and again, like I feel like A-Train had some of the better moments on the heel side because as soon as like he gets pulled out from the chokeslam, he's like, they're regrouping. And he's like, beat his ass, like he's really into it. And then there's the other exchange where he's like slapping and punching the Undertaker. Come on, big dog, you ain't so bad. God, it's so weird saying that now. No, we're getting at WrestleMania 33, but I digress.
But John, it's the passing of the torch.
Oh my God, shoot me in the face. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think when you look at it as a WrestleMania match, I mean, yeah, even then it's kind of, whatever, but nowhere near what I said. This is like a bad match or an awful match. I had fun with it. Nathan Jones comes out, does like a, spin kick to Big Show's head. A-Train takes the tombstone, and Taker is, what would it be at this point, 11-0. I think it was after this. So
Somewhere around there. I have no clue actually, because like wasn't his first big like win at WrestleMania at like WrestleMania 7 in 1991?
You might be right. I'm not sure. But I think I remember commentary saying like he's won 10 straight WrestleManias before, this match. And then, yeah, that's why I'm saying this one would make 11. But, regardless, the streak lives. And, yeah, not a bad match. So any other thoughts you want to give on this?
No, I don't think so, actually. Up next, we had another segment backstage with these two Cat Fight girls from earlier. And they're meeting up with Torrie Wilson and Stacy Keibler. And they talk about how much they admire Torrie Wilson for being, like, you know, she had a great Playboy spread, I guess. And then they were big fans of Stacy Keibler, and they were talking about how they loved her testicles.
Yeah, and then Stacy, who, you know, I love her. She's adorable. She's like, oh, you can't, you guys won't believe, like, my next marketing campaign. And I'm like, oh, I believe we can. Can we cut to something else, please? So, yeah, I mean, I just had that same reaction every time, like, you know, the Miller Cat Fight girls were present. You can only imagine what Sasha and Bailey and all of them would think seeing these segments now. Like, oh, thank God that's not us. So what came after this?
Well, just before we move on, I want to take a quick break to kind of address the Undertaker situation. I was right. His first win at WrestleMania was at WrestleMania 7 in 1991, and it was against Jimmy Snuka. But he missed WrestleMania 10, and he ended up – this was the WrestleMania 19 match where he beat Big Show at A-Train. He went 11-0 after winning that match.
Okay, so we were both right then. Well, that's cool.
Up next, though, we had our third match of the night. More women, but this time, I guess we're supposed to respect them, unlike the Catfight girls and Stacy and Torrie. Trish Stratus versus Jazz versus Victoria. Triple threat for the women's championship. And I honestly don't even remember much from this match, but I do know that Trish Stratus won.
I thoroughly enjoyed this triple threat. This was better than I thought it was going to be. And that's not because, the quality of workers is so bad. I just didn't know.
No, I was going to say, I think Victoria kind of stole the show in this.
Oh, and that's funny because I thought Jazz stole the show in this. I'm like, man, she's a beast.
I mean, we agree, though, that if anyone didn't steal the show, it was Trish.
Who won? Yeah, I mean, because Trish was kind of the face of the division at the time. And I actually kind of appreciated the story here because both women hated Trish for different reasons. You know, we already know Victoria. Like, I think they were models at one time, and Trish came to the WWE, and she left Victoria behind. And Victoria developed a very severe complex after that. Never forget Survivor Series where she's doing that Wicked Witch with the mirror, shtick. Oh, my God. And we find out because of commentary, like, she injured her ACL, and like she injured it in a match with Trish. Yeah. So Jazz is out for blood, and I really like that story. And there's even a point, actually a few points, where they gang up on Trish, and I think they're just trying to decide who's gonna beat the shit out of her. Yeah, I thought Jazz was a beast. In fact, seeing this match almost made me want to go back and watch some of her other stuff, because I've always heard that she was just a great athlete and a great wrestler.
Yeah. Jazz was definitely one of the more underrated. And I think the biggest reason she is so underrated is just because she didn't look like a traditional diva. And that's like this was back when in the WWE, a woman's appearance was valued over everything else. And that wasn't just by WWE. That was by the casual viewer and most people that watch the show.
Yeah, I mean, that chicken wing she got on Trish, where she just like
threw her
down.
Dude, Jazz was, I feel like I remember, like, Jazz was known for her chicken wing, wasn't she?
I think for a time she was, dude, because I remember the same thing. And I'm like, holy shit. And yeah, so Jazz earned mad respect from me from this triple threat. And Victoria, I mean, you're not even wrong. I love Victoria because I feel like in terms of characters, and we always say that pro wrestling is about the character first, in-ring ability second. On that basis, Victoria stole the show because she's got Steven Richards at ringside, don't forget, and I feel like he really enhanced the match for me because, unlike Ric Flair, he wasn't like pivotal in the finish. He was like very animated, very supportive of Victoria, but really he even took a bump. Like, he took a Stratusfaction from Trish Stratus, that Rope Bulldog. And so, I appreciated his presence in this match. I thought all three women really just gave it their all out there, but Trish does get the win with kind of like a chick kick with Victoria coming off the ropes. So Trish pins Victoria, which kind of fits that whole story because they had been feuding for so long. And, I thoroughly enjoyed this triple threat. I thought it was quite good. I think even the crowd towards the end got more into it, so big ups to him.
Definitely, man. Yeah. All right, so I think we can move on. And up next, we had a backstage segment. I believe it was Jonathan Coachman caught up to The Rock backstage, and Rock's talking about how pissed he is because last year These are the same people who booed The Rock at WrestleMania 18 against Hulk Hogan's geriatric ass. And he doesn't care what the crowd thinks this year because all he cares about is beating Austin tonight.
You know that Rock was heel because he didn't insult Coach one time during that whole promo.
Right?
He's like, no, I know you love when I belittle the coach. Rock ain't going to belittle the coach tonight. So, yeah, that caught me off guard, actually, because I was waiting for it. I'm like, oh, man, Coach, you're being way too earnest, and you're wearing a suit. I'm just thinking of a million things that I could pick apart. But he is just so fixated on Austin, which, you know what, though, I appreciate because we both know that for a fact, and yet beating Austin is so important to him. Like, fun and games are over, even in a heelish way, because, you know, it's not like he stopped being
Playtime is over.
Oh, God, why did you have to bring her into this? Oh, God.
You brought her up earlier.
That's true, but that was with the Miller Lite girls, though. They're all kind of in the same league. But yeah, I mean, Rock, I enjoyed the backstage promo here, and I really did love the story, like, throughout the night when the focus was on Rock and Austin, where he is just consumed. Like, I love JR's soundbite. It's a cancer in the soul of The Rock. He has never beaten Austin at a WrestleMania. And he even ends it with, you know, I'm going to beat that bald-headed ass. Finally. And it just sits there, you know, and it's just like, finally, I'm going to get this weight off my back. And just really cool.
Yeah. Of course, The Rock, expert on the mic, as usual. But then we get into our fourth match of the night, Los Guerreros versus Rhyno and Chris Benoit versus Team Angle, triple threat tag team match for the WWE Tag Team Championship. John, you already said you thought this match was great. You actually told me that it was one of your favorite matches of the show. So I'm going to take a back seat to you. I want you to talk about everything about this match that you loved.
And dude, it's so funny you say that because I was just getting ready because I knew you were going to pass the baton to me. I wanted you and I to nerd out together because is there anybody better than Guerrero and Benoit? Like, these guys, man, so good.
I mean, it's funny you bring up Guerrero and Benoit as a tandem because that WrestleMania 20, was also requested to us by Javaris Carter.
Oh, and it's coming. Oh, it's coming. That's going to be a lot of fun, too. But, yeah, I mean, these guys...
That's going to be on... Man, I think that's going to end up being on Sunday, March 26th.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. That sounds great to me, actually. And here's the thing. When I say, is there anybody better? I mean, obviously, we have amazing talent today. This is not me trying to denigrate the present or the future. I'm just saying, for their time, I don't think you would have had two better technical wrestlers, at least in North America. I'll even make that qualification for people that want to get on my ass. Than Guerrero and Benoit. I mean, just so crisp and so clean and so perfect. And I will say this. I mean, I'm a Benoit mark till the day I die, but where I think Eddie really excels is the character work. There is character in every move that he does. Where with Benoit, and why I loved him so much, it's intensity. I still wince seeing those chops. I'm like, God damn. It's actually a shame we never got Marufuji versus Benoit because I'd love to see that. I'd pay money.
Dude, it wouldn't even surprise me if that match exists somewhere on the internet from like Noah or All Japan or something.
Fucking sick fucks just having a chop exchange, making each other bleed. But yeah, and hell, Team Angle, Haas and Benjamin, tag team champions. And I loved commentary here. They're like, oh, it's their first WrestleMania. They're the young guys. And Cole was really pushing the idea that they're nervous. And Tez's like, oh, they ain't nervous at the champs. I thought they did great here. Chavo, when he was still regarded as like a SmackDown 6 member, was actually allowed to, you know, wrestle and be a wrestler and not have to be a fucking, you know, white-ass golfer. Yeah, just great energy in this triple threat. Great technical wrestling from the people that you know how to do it. And then Rhyno, yeah, to his credit, I mean, that gore still, I mean, it got freaking pops in Seattle. He knocked off 2 gores, and the crowd was so into it. And then, yeah, Shelton Benjamin makes the cover. I believe it was on Chavo. Eddie was busy dealing with Rhyno. He tries to break up the pin, but he's too late, and the triple threat ends. But, yeah, I felt like it had perfect pacing, great wrestling, great explosiveness. I just thoroughly had fun with this, and this is when the tag team division was just so freaking good, and Team Angle prevails.
Yeah, man. Like, I'll tell you what, Eddie still gets me to this day. Benoit, I almost feel like I might have underrated Benoit when I was a wrestling fan back then, because there was a point in time, like 07 to 09, that I took a break. But and actually a big reason for me taking the break was Benoit's death. So Benoit back in the day was way better than I remember him being. It's crazy, man.
Oh, dude, take it from a guy. I mean, you know how I was with this.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
you don't need to reestablish your credibility as far as Benoit goes. Everybody knows.
Just again, like the suplexes and everything. But again, to give Guerrero and like Chavo and those guys there, to Ann Haas and Benjamin, like, damn, people that really know how to take it to the mat. But I want to single out Eddie, because it's one thing to take it to the mat. It's another thing to do with personality. And that guy just had like a swagger about him. And you see him work, and it just feels so right. And how crazy that they'd be in the tag title match this year compared to where they'd be next year. Like, that's the beauty of WrestleMania, really, is where you see guys year to year. And that this won't be the last time I even bring that point up. But yeah, this was just an outstanding contest. Really happy for all 6 guys, because they busted their asses out there. Great stuff.
Yeah. So you already said Team Angle won, so I think that's kind of my go-ahead that we can move on. Up next, we got more of the Cat Fight girls and Stacy and Torrie in the women's locker room. And Stacy Keibler says, Mr. McMahon really made WrestleMania everything that it is today. And Torrie Wilson's just like, no, Hulk Hogan did. And then they argue back and forth. It was Mr. McMahon. It was Hulk Hogan. And then one of them's just like, oh, whatever. And then I think it was Stacy that said that, but then she leaves the room.
Oh, dude.
And then the girls, and then the Cat Fight girls kind of continue. And this is where it was weird, because one of them said it was Mr. McMahon. And the other one says it was Hulk Hogan.
Dude, at this point, I couldn't contain it anymore. I know you didn't hear me, because like I had like my mic muted and stuff. But I when Stacy did like the whatever and she put the hand up, I'm like, oh no, she didn't. We gonna settle it. So like I even got into it. I'm like, this is so absurd. This is so absurd. Why is this happening? But yeah, I couldn't take it anymore. I laughed so hard. I'm like, this is so bad. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. And you know what? Oddly enough, it makes sense that Stacy would back Vince, because there was that time where she was like his assistant on TV. And Torrie has always been like the girl next door kind of baby face, at least until she would have that heel run a few years later. But at this time she was. So yeah, it makes sense that she would back Hogan. So the idea that I could even find sense in that shows me that I give this segment way more credit than it deserves. But there you go. I mean, it happened.
Oh, no, she didn't.
Oh, no, she did not. Oh my God, so bad.
Oh, man. All right. I think we can move on past this segment. And I believe, oh, no, there's one more of the Cat Fight girls later on in the night. We'll talk about that then. But then we get a video package for Jericho versus HBK, which was great. And then we get the match, Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels.
Oh, brother. Hey, you gave me the reins with the triple threat tag match. I want to hear you talk about this match first, because man, was this fucking amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the build to this match was freaking incredible, too, because no, this wasn't. I was going to say, wasn't this like the build up where Jericho put Michaels through the Jericho, but it wasn't. That was later. That was in like
2009, I believe.
Yeah.
2009, I thought.
Yeah, that was later down the line. But still, this was still a great build, and the match was wonderful. HBK, to me, this right here is HBK in his prime, because like, over time, he kind of became more of a one-trick pony, where he would pretty much only do like his signature offense and just sell his ass off, like in the Undertaker matches and that kind of thing. But right here, like when he first got back from his losing his smile meme break, this was him at his best, in my opinion. And Jericho, this was before he left for his first Fozzy tour, and like, this is the peak of both of these performers, in my opinion, and I think that this match really reflects that. I honestly think this might be one of the best matches of all time. Not just at a WrestleMania, not just in WWE, but period, like one of the best matches ever.
Dude, oh my God, I have so much I want to say about this match. I don't even know where to start. Okay, well, we'll start with the most basic point, the video package. I mean, because again, I grew up, like, this was my era, so I know this feud, right? And, you know, the Royal Rumble and everything that happened there, I remember that. I used to own the VHS tape, you know, for obvious reasons. And just great interaction between these two. And I love like the steel chair kind of spot where they're, him and Christian, they're gonna just destroy Stacy, and then Shawn comes out but to no avail, and then Jericho, because I loved King of the World Jericho, like that iteration. And I'd say the 2012, like the end of the world is coming, my two favorite iterations of Jericho personally. And yeah, he's like, you tried to be the hero one too many times, Michaels, you stupid son of a bitch. Like, I love that Jericho. I will always love that Jericho. And then you get to the match, and I love the story on commentary. It's King actually for once said something, useful from a narrative standpoint. Shawn Michaels, he's like, the leader of the Pride, the pack of lions. But Jericho is the young lion, and he's on Michaels. I thought this had great psychology from Jericho's standpoint, because you look at Shawn Michaels' injured back, why he left the game in the first place, and you have the walls of Jericho on the outside, and then Jericho just gets back in the ring in time, and he's like, no, don't you count out, I need to beat Shawn Michaels, and then he gets him, in that fall away slam position, rams his back into the steel post. But then it evolves. It goes from psychology, like from that standpoint, to, yeah, let's really play up this story that I'm the mirror image. And he does the nip up and the super kick at one point. I thought Jericho had a pretty sweet shin music. Yeah,
his was different though. His was more of like a side kick, whereas when Shawn does it, it's more of almost like a back kick. It was really good.
Yeah, dude, I
he got full extension on that kick, man. That was great.
He did, man. He did. And then when he gets him in the walls of Jericho in the middle of the ring, and he gets the ropes. Jericho's like, hey, tapped out. Hey, almost like he was near tears. And then he tries charging at Michaels, and he eats sweet chin music, and it's like, but then Jericho kicked out of that. And I gotta be honest, the one thing that always, like, because this might be like my third time seeing this match, the one thing that always used to rub me the wrong way was the finish. But you know what though? Now I get it, because I feel like with guys like going that hard and with that kind of story, and Jericho kicking out of sweet chin music, like just the idea that Jericho got caught, especially with what would happen in the post match, it keeps the rivalry going. So at first, like, it left a bad taste in my mouth, because I'm like, really, these two guys are giving everything, and you end with that. But now I think all this time later, really watching this match, I get what they were going for, and yeah, this classic, absolute WrestleMania classic for sure.
Definitely, this was great. So this match was a lot of fun, and like I think my favorite part of it was, as you pointed out, Jericho starting to kind of imitate Shawn's offense.
Yes.
Like when he did the big flying forearm off the ropes and then the kip up, I was like, oh shit, it is on like Donkey Kong. And then Shawn kips up too, and it's like, oh my god, he still got it. And like, yeah, this was freaking awesome. Shawn at one point did a moonsault to Jericho while Jericho was standing, very reminiscent of what we see now with Cody Rhodes. I'm guessing Cody probably ripped that off of this match itself.
Right.
And yeah, like when HBK or when Jericho, he there were so many reversals into the walls of Jericho. It was beautiful. I mean, HBK went for a Hurricane Rana in this match that got reversed into the walls. HBK at one point went for the walls of Jericho, which I guess would have been the walls of Michaels at that point. Jericho went for a superplex on two different occasions. The first one got countered by a crossbody, and then the second one gets countered by a gourd buster, and then Michaels hits the big elbow drop, and then he starts tuning up the band. Jericho counters that with the super kick attempt with the walls. Michaels gets to the ropes, and then Jericho starts arguing with the ref, and like you said, HBK hits sweet chin music. They both collapse, and then Michaels, like you said, again, one with the pretty combination. But Jericho, I love the little shuffle Jericho did before hitting his own version of the sweet chin music. And like, here's my question: have you ever watched this match with I think it was Jericho and I want to say like Michael Cole or Josh Matthews or someone like that doing special commentary over it?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it was on Jericho's DVD, and it was awesome.
Did he make any points like that you want to bring up? Because I mean that does.
No, like I just remember watching it and Jericho bringing up like, you know, he did like the little shuffle because he had to find a way to make it his own, and that was his way of making Sweet Chin Music his own.
Yeah, I love that he did that too, dude. Like I said, this Jericho, and I was laughing earlier because Cliff said in chat, and I was thinking about that exact line for whatever reason, because we reviewed Survivor Series 2002, when he's looking at Triple H like, hey, we gotta pin this ass. Like, I love this Jericho so much. And yeah, when he gets caught, man, and he gets pinned, like, you could just see, like, he can't hold back the tears. He's frustrated. He's angry. But then it happens because Michaels, being a good sport, is like, hey, Chris, you know, that was a great match. You took me to the limit, you know, whatever. And Jericho's like, I don't want to shake your hand, man. We got a hug. And they go to the hug. And I love Jim Ross. Oh, I like to see that. Bam! Nut shot. As Michael sinks to the floor, Jericho's just like, oh, you stupid son of a bitch. And he just throws him down to the canvas. And as he's walking up the ramp, he's throwing a bitch fit. But, oh, man, King of the World Jericho is truly the best. Unbelievable.
Yeah. That was one of the greatest heel moments in the history of WrestleMania, only to be one-upped by something else that happened later on in the night.
Yeah. Because I'll tell you, man, the crowd, I think, was so into when they embraced, because they know that they saw a special match, and I guess they thought for a moment that was them kind of breaking character and acknowledging, like, what a fucking great job they did. And then that nutshot comes in, it's like, oh, not cool, bruh. Not cool.
Gotta get your heat back, brother. Gotta get your heat back.
Absolutely, man. No doubt.
I will say, though, I love the finish, the roll-up, because the way that these guys are going, like this match, I think this match ended up being like 20-something minutes long. It was pretty freaking long. I'm going to look, actually. 22 minutes long, 22 and a half minutes long. And at that point, all bets are off. You don't have to hit a finisher to win. Like, Michaels could have hit an elbow drop, and I would have believed it as a winning move. But, like, the high pace, like, I'm going to pin you, and then you're going to reverse it, and then I'm going to reverse this, and then you're going to reverse that, and then I'm going to put all my weight on your shoulders, and you're not going to kick out because you're just too damn exhausted to kick out.
Exactly. And you know what? That's precisely why I understand it now, and I couldn't have articulated it better. What a brilliant match this was.
Yeah, so then we get to see, at this point, I thought it was just some random referee, but as it turns out, it was actually Sylvain Grenier walking into Vince McMahon's locker room.
Yeah, oh, Sylvain, how far you'd come after this, huh? But yeah,
La Resistance!
I actually forgot that he was the corrupt referee at No Way Out like a few months back, and that's how that all ties in, because I remember that event too. But yeah, that was pretty interesting.
So then we find out that there are 54,097 people in attendance, and it's a new record for the venue that they were at on this show. So whether they fudge those numbers or not, and they always do, so they probably did here, congratulations.
Absolutely. Really cool for Seattle, and just a great energy to this WrestleMania. So.
And then we got the true greatest heel moment in WrestleMania history. The WWE forced us to sit through a second Limp Bizkit performance.
Dude, the only thing I have to say, because, I mean, look, I'm not going to, like, go into an in-depth review of a musical performance because I know how to review wrestling, not music, but the only thing I will say that made me be like, yeah, how's that looking today? Was every time, like, Limp Bizkit was involved in something, here is WWE's favorite band in the world. Really? That's
all that tells you is that WWE has bad taste in music.
Yeah, I mean that, or man, like, how far is your nose up that ass, bruh? Because, like, god damn.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they probably were like, you know, if you really want, we can say that you're our favorite band in the world multiple times on this show, and all we would ask is to not have to pay you as much.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, too. I guess, in a way, I could believe it for no other reason. Like, I know he does have an extensive history, or had, I should say, an extensive history with the company. Like, he was even a part of the Just Bring It video game as part of, like, an unlockable character. So, yeah, I mean, maybe there is some sincerity there, but at the same time, I can only imagine what Tony Chimmel was thinking saying it. because I'm like, man, I feel bad for you, dude. Like, it just sounded weird. It always did. But yeah, he gave his performance. He performed Crack Addict and did like his little run like we do every year at Mania. I hate this. I think it's a time killer. Hell, if you're gonna get musicians, at least have them be decent. Live, especially live, I want to put that qualification there. And yeah, I'm
this year they're gonna get the Chainsmokers.
Maybe they won't be bad live, will they? I mean, because they do. Great
No, they're
music.
awful live. They're horrible live.
Hell.
I love some of the Chainsmokers music, but my whole point of saying that was that they are infamously bad live.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Because I like some of their music too, which is why I wasn't so quick to like pounce on that. But yeah, then you tell me that, and I'm like, can I have hope for anything? But yeah, that's gonna happen. And yeah, this happened, and I didn't care.
I mean, really, in general, anytime a music artist or music group uses like electronics to make their music what it is, because like the Chainsmokers are pretty much like two guys and Rock Band on a computer. That's pretty much what that entire like all of their music comes from.
Right.
And yeah, like you're never gonna get the live experience from that, what you could get from a band that uses instruments to make their music, and the vocal talent is there rather than auto-tune and that kind of stuff. So like, even though I appreciate that kind of music, just like listening to it on the radio or like in digital form, that's the kind of stuff that doesn't translate as well live. And like, I don't know if Limp Bizkit was really known for using auto-tune, but that high-pitched squeaky voice that he does in between choruses is the most obnoxious shit ever.
I mean, dude, you straight up called it the most heelish moment in WrestleMania history, so we know how you felt about this concert. I really have nothing else to say, so I'm ready to get back to the wrestling if you are, because, yeah, this concert just blowed.
Well, you mean it blew, John?
Yeah, whatever. Hey, he doesn't deserve me to use proper grammar, okay? He can suck my dick. How's that? Is that proper?
He blew himself.
Yeah, is that proper for everybody? Yeah, suck my dick.
Well, I mean, up next we had a WrestleMania Cat Fight.
Yeah, I mean, you know what, though? I can't even hate too much on this because at least it was quick. It didn't drag itself out, and we knew what era this was. Again, that's why, I bet you if Sasha or Charlotte or any of them, they'd have a stroke watching this today because they'd just be like, oh, man, did we dodge a bullet? But, yeah, I mean, they knew what they went out there to do. They did it. I mean, hell, Coach even got to be caught up in it, and they did get his WrestleMania humiliation. It just didn't happen with The Rock. It happened with these women. So yeah, not really much to say. It happened, and yeah, I didn't really hate it. I'm just glad it was quick.
Yeah, man. It was short, sweet, and to the point. The whole point of it was basically just to pander to the lowest common denominator and be like, hey guys, we have sexy ladies and they can strip down to their bra and panties.
Exactly.
Maybe old guys are gonna fap to this later. We don't know.
I mean, probably, right? Let's be honest. But yeah, that was really their mindset. I'm glad we're past it now, and hopefully we will never look back. Ever.
And this was definitively the low point in the show, because up next was easily the match that I had the biggest problem with, Booker T and Triple H.
Oh, this match. You know what's so hilarious about this match, bro? And like, this is one of the matches I could not wait to talk to you about. In today's climate, like, if somebody didn't even know what wrestling was, but say they knew what WrestleMania was, and we just showed this to them, we didn't give them a date or anything, they'd be like, wow, WWE really has their finger on the pulse with the times, don't they? No, they don't. Because, yeah, this was forever ago, and I feel like it's just as relevant today, given everything that's, like, happening in the world and Triple H's character, especially as it relates to his contempt for Booker T. Oh, people like you don't get to be world champion. And you want to talk about cringe, because we've talked about cringe with the Miller Lite girls and Limp Bizkit, and that's fine. This was where I was at my fucking cringiest, because are we really doing this, guys? Are we really doing this? And then again, I'm asking this of the same company that thought of the brilliant concept of Katie Vick, so of course we're doing it.
Was Katie Vick before or after this?
This was before this, or no, it was it was before this. I was right, it was before this. And yeah, this was bad. this was bad. And it's not made any better. Like, I kind of enjoyed it to a degree, I guess, because I love how passionate Jim Ross could get about his wrestling. That's why I loved him so much as a kid. But commentary did not help this affair at all too much because, of course, Jerry Lawler, the man from Tennessee that actually recently on a pre-show discussion panel was like, oh, how could you boo a great man like Mike Pence? Like, he worked that reference in there. Would just be like, oh, one time me and Booker T went to the mall, he tried to pay for everything in cigarettes. Ooh, or the only family photo they have is a court portrait. Ooh, again, I'm just like, God damn, we are really doing. And Jim Ross, I could never tell, even to this day, if he was legitimately getting annoyed with the King or if he was like just being the babyface commentator. Because he's like, just get off that horse. You've ridden into the goddamn ground. Like, yeah, dude, it was rough. And then I haven't even touched the match itself. Before I even do, I've got to get some of your opinions on this because I still, it's like, oh my God, don't do this. Don't do this.
Dude, this match was mystifying. Like, this is the pinnacle of Triple H ego. Nobody can touch me or make me look vulnerable or even look like they might be better than me at anything in the early to mid 2000s. Like, Booker T has, at this point, established himself with this reputation of, like, he is a freaking workhorse. He puts in the time. He puts in the work. He's been in WWE for 2 years at this point, so don't give me that paying your dues bullshit. He was a 5-time WCW champion when he was there. And I'm half convinced that was part of the reason that they buried him the way he did in this match, because he was like one of the biggest names that WCW created who was never in WWF to begin with.
Yeah, dude, I will still say Booker T, and I know he said in subsequent interviews that, oh, I was just happy to get my WrestleMania moment. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
this is
exactly. That's exactly what the problem with this match is that Booker T is a nice guy, and he was willing to put Triple H over. He was willing to lose this match, not because he thought that it was best for business, but because he was willing to just be the yes man and do what the management told him to do. And Triple H was backstage politicking his ass off to bury the guy who he was racist towards on television.
Yeah, I mean, and dude, we keep like referencing, people like you, and that was bad enough. Don't get me wrong. I also remember the segment when they had that bathroom segment where Booker T just confronts him because he's had enough of this goddamn shit. And then, well, you gotta say something, Hunter. And he gets a paper towel. He throws it to Booker T. He's like, "Get me a towel." And I'm like, "Oh fuck no!" And I remember when Booker T beat the shit out of him. I'm like, "Yeah, you whoop that fucking ass. Like, beat the fucking shit out of him." This match to me, and here's the thing too, from an in-ring standpoint, because I've got to separate that for me. Like, I didn't hate it from an in-ring standpoint, but I had two glaring problems here. I love the heart of Booker T as a babyface, fighting through the leg pain, and he sold his ass off for Triple H in this, without question. My problem was he hits the scissor kick, doesn't get the cover right away, finally gets the cover 2 count. That's understandable. But Triple H has the exact same goddamn spot towards the end, gets the pedigree, isn't able to cover right away, might have even waited longer than Booker did. I honestly can't say one way or the other, so I'm just going to leave that alone. But yeah, gets the 3 count anyway. Like, what the fuck? Like, it made no sense. Like, why couldn't you have Booker T kick out, get that loud pop from Seattle, because you know they wanted him to win, because they booed this so hard when Triple H won, and at best hit a second pedigree. But no, 1 pedigree and 20 seconds of waiting, then cover. That's still going to get the job done. Man, fuck this match, man. Oh, my God. You gotta have more to say than this, right? I'm gonna give the floor back to you because this is bad.
Dude. I'm telling you, and the thing is, like, I feel like in this match, it was actually portrayed like Triple H was the better fighter between the two. Like, they went out of their way to make it seem like when Booker T got offense, it was because Triple H was allowing him to get offense rather than him just being the better fighter.
Right. Yeah, and that's just it. And then you've got, again, the whole psychology.
This, honestly, like, people say, like, oh, that person got buried, this person got buried. The pinnacle of a performer being buried is this match right here. And not even just this match, but the entire build up to and including the match itself. is the pinnacle of a burial, and it was so blatantly obvious. And you know what? Partially I do kind of feel bad for Booker T, but then I don't feel bad for Booker T because he didn't have to let this happen. Booker T was too nice, too giving, too gracious, he wasn't cutthroat enough for this for anything in this. He was just this was Booker T being content, him being happy to be there, him he was happy for and that right there, that factor is still a problem to this day because nobody should be happy just to be there. They shouldn't be like, oh, it's always been my dream to work for the WWE, because that's how you get screwed out of money. That's how you get screwed out of opportunities. That's how you get used and abused, and you don't even realize it's happening because you're just happy to be there. And that's exactly what happened to CM Punk. The only difference between him and everybody else that it's happening to and ever has happened to is that he realized it early enough to get the hell out before he couldn't do anything else.
Oh, brother, let me tell you something. I tell all my friends, and this is me real talking right now away from wrestling for a second. I tell all of my friends when they're like, John, I'm job hunting or I'm doing this, I say, you better know what you're worth because everybody in this world is looking to lowball your ass. I tell them, you better know what you're worth and you better fight for it. Booker T was worth a hell of a lot more than this shit. He was worth more than this shit, and I have to agree with you to a degree. Now, I don't know the locker room climate at the time. Maybe Booker felt like it would have been fighting a losing battle, so I don't want to come down on him too hard. But I will say, like, I hope he would have at least said one thing or something because he was worth more than this. I don't care if it was WCW or where you came from. If you put in 2 years, and he even says it in the video package, finally, after 2 years, I'm getting my shot at the world title. And people were into him then, and they were ready for it then. But no, Booker, no, it's not going to happen for you now. But give it 3 years when you're King Booker and a heel, and the world title run doesn't nearly have as much emotion or anything to it. Yeah, we'll have you beat Mysterio and become world champion then. And I'm happy that he got his run, but this was his time. People were into him. The story was there because who wouldn't want to see Booker T triumph after all the heinous shit Triple H said and did in this angle? But no, he wins. And that's why I said, like, you even look today and like, it's just amazing that this match happened. And you look at where we are today and I'm like, has a lot of progress even really been made? And I'd be inclined to say no, quite frankly. And yeah, my heart does go out to Booker. I felt bad for Seattle because they hated that finish, if I had to guess. And then Triple H tries to sell it afterwards like, oh, I can't even hold my title. I immediately flopped before. Screw you. Although I will say, Booker had a great spot in this match again, selling the leg, selling his fucking ass off when he gets that Houston hangover, that leg drop off the top rope. That was gorgeous, and it looked sick. Like, that was one thing. I know Jerry Lawler is always going to be the heel and support the heels, but when he's like, he crushed Triple H's head, I'm like, yeah, I could believe it, because that sell, though, and just everything. So that was at least one bright spot. But
yeah, dude, I wasn't even sure what he was going for there. I wasn't sure if that was meant to be like a flip leg drop or if he was going for a 450 and he just didn't get enough torque.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, that's how that leg drop, came to be, and it's just crazy to me. And then yeah, that would have been a great move to get the win with, but of course Flair. Of course the heel has to triumph. And the crazy thing is, I don't even remember Booker T. I think he would get a one-on-one rematch of this, but that would be on a Raw and that would get thrown out. So Booker T never really did get to finish his business with Triple H.
Do you know what I honestly wish they would have done on this show?
What's that?
Because like, I appreciate that the whole build was like Rock Austin, but I think that this show would have been better if you would have done Rock Triple H and Booker T Austin, because Austin would have put Booker T over.
Oh yeah, you fucking know it.
And The Rock wasn't gonna, Triple H wasn't gonna out-politic The Rock. Nobody out-politicked The Rock back in the day, not even the King of Kings himself.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And that would have been a very interesting WrestleMania card. But we got this, and Booker T was happy to be at WrestleMania, and I'm glad he was happy to be at WrestleMania because he didn't walk away with anything else on this night. Triple H retains after pinning with the, pedigree after, a 20-second time.
Dude, it's like, oh yeah, congrats on your WrestleMania payday, but I hope you realize that your value to the company just took a nosedive and you're never going to reach this pinnacle ever again.
ever again. It all went downhill after this, and that's a crying shame because he worked so hard. Hell, dude, you want to talk about people that don't politic? Booker T got here winning a battle royal, and he last eliminated The Rock.
Yeah.
That's how he
Well,
got
dude,
this.
and that's why I was saying, like, The Rock and Booker T should have switched places. I'm telling you, because that's the thing is, like, Austin could have said all the same shit to Booker T that Triple H said to him, but then Austin would have made the right choice in the end. Because Austin understood the value of other people being over and having credibility. Triple H only cared about himself.
Oh, dude, it was that understanding of Austin, which is why he left in the first place, which we'll get more into that when we get to Austin and Rock's match. But
well, yeah, and that was another thing too, is maybe if Austin would have seen that Vince was using him to put over the future in a realistic, logical way that was built well and made sense, maybe he would have stuck around longer. You don't know.
Yeah, I think he would have. I honestly believe he would have.
And even then, maybe you could have gotten your big third Rock Austin match at Mania 20.
Yeah. And here's my thing. I don't know if chat can even back me up on this, but I could have sworn I remember hearing that even Rock was pissed when Booker T didn't go over. Because, again, like, Rock put Booker over in the Battle Royal.
Yep.
And then I think he came out and said, yeah, I feel like Booker should have won that match. Like, I just feel like it was the wrong call. Anybody with any sense to me would say, yeah, Booker should have won this match. Because how can he not? It's not even just a simple heel babyface dynamic. It's the places where that dynamic went that necessitated the babyface go over, and they didn't do it. And that's what's always going to leave a foul taste in my mouth, because I'm like, how could you even? But again, Katie Vick, so it's not like this absurd shit is without precedent. Yeah. So it was what it was. Triple H wins again.
Well, and you know what the thing is, like, it's not just that Triple H wins. Like, I could have understood it if they had like a brutal 20-minute plus match and Triple H hit a pedigree and then like he crawled over and he got the cover and Booker kicks out and then Triple H has like this furious anger in his face and he scoops Booker back up, drops him in another pedigree, goes for the pin and immediately gets the 3 count at that point.
Yes.
But they did Booker so freaking dirty in this, and Booker T is a freaking professional. So even though Triple H did him dirty and waited like an extra 10 seconds before going for the pin, because Booker is a professional, he didn't kick out. Even though if that was Austin, if that was Rock, if that was somebody who wasn't just like your generic yes man, do what the company wants you to do, you're damn right they would have kicked out and they would have made Triple H hit them with another pedigree, because nobody should get beaten by a pedigree after like 13 seconds.
Dude, that pissed me off so much because, again, a while before, in the match, Booker hits the scissors kick. Exact same setup, except, Triple H kicks out. So yeah. I'm like, give Booker the same goddamn courtesy. Are you protecting him or aren't you? It was a bunch of shit. And I know in their mind they could say, oh, yeah, we are, because we had Flair interfere and we had this happen and that happen. But it's how things end.
Yeah.
And you couldn't even have Booker take 2.
And by the way, who ended up benefiting from all that Triple H heat in the end? His own boys, Orton and Batista.
Exactly. His own creation, evolution.
Dude, I gotta ask, who did Benoit pin at Mania 20 to win the title?
Benoit made Triple H tap out, to be fair. So
okay, so there's one guy. There's one guy that Triple H put over, and of course it had to be in a triple threat, so of course it had to have someone else in it, and it had to be this big personal story between Triple H and the other guy, and it had to be Triple H overlooking Benoit for Benoit to get the one-up on him.
Right. Yeah. And it's so crazy, too, because you bring that up, and so many people were like, oh, yeah, Triple H, he just knows he can't carry a WrestleMania main event without Shawn Michaels. Like, I remember that whole thing back in the day. But, yeah, I'm glad we got past this match, because, man, was this bad. This was bad. I mean, not even a solid in-ring outing, which I feel like, both men did admittedly have here. When the story is as just noxious as this was, that ain't gonna save it, man.
Well, and not to mention, too, like, Triple H put Benoit over at Mania, but then who did Benoit end up putting over at SummerSlam?
Randy Orton. And then who did Randy Orton
end up putting
over a month later at Unforgiven?
Exactly, Triple H. And then the freaking title was vacated, and who won it?
Triple H. Yeah, because that was
And then at WrestleMania 21 on the same run that Triple H was on, who did he put over?
Batista.
freaking bingo. Unbelievable.
All right, man. What happened after this? Because fuck Triple H.
We got Hogan Vince. We got the big video package highlighting how Hulk Hogan tried to run Vince McMahon out of business, and Vince McMahon tried to end Hulkamania, and then we got this awesome match. And honestly, even though there were other better matches on this card, from a pure subjective personal opinion standpoint, this was my favorite match on this show.
Yeah, bro, you had said that to me in conversation, so I'm going to let you take the reins on this. What exactly did you love about this?
Dude, this is a goddamn awesome match, and I love both of these guys as performers with just every fiber of my being. Like, both of these men as human beings are scum of the earth, but when it comes to being a performer and having that crowd in the palm of your hands, they are two of the best of all time, and I might even argue the two best of all time.
Oh, yeah, dude. I mean, you're talking about two guys to me that just get it, that just really understand. And I would say that I would express the same sentiment in the Rock Austin match, for the record. But yeah, these two guys have a fundamental understanding. I thought the video package, dude, was fantastic, because if ever Vince had any kind of credibility, it would be in this rivalry. Because he's like, I created you, Hogan. I gave you everything. And not only did you go over WCW, which to Vince's pride, that had to be a blow enough.
Oh, yeah.
But you testify against me in court before the federal government. So, Vince is a scumbag. I am never going to send that man.
Dude, they're both scumbags. Both of these human beings are pieces of shit.
Oh, yeah. And Hogan's a piece of shit, too. But if we're looking at the characters and their motivations, I kind of fall on the side of Vince in this. Because I'm like, yeah, if somebody that I really trusted and gave everything tried to send me to jail, too, I'd be pretty fucking miffed. Yeah. So... yeah, great story. And I remember the segment where they have the contract signing and Vince has Hogan sign the contract like in his own blood. That I thought was great. Like, these two guys knew just how to put a story together and how to execute it. But I'm going to give you the floor back because then we get to the match, and this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. I love the match because, like, early on it seemed like Hogan has the advantage, and then Vince, like, all of a sudden, like, decides to try and wrestle, and he, like, locks Hogan in a hammerlock and starts, like, dropping knees on Hogan's left arm, which, I mean, to be fair, this is one of the reasons I say this wasn't by any means a great technical match, because, like, the left arm that Vince worked over, yeah, that never came back. Hogan didn't sell that whatsoever, but the point was that Vince is going to try and wrestle Hogan, even though this is a street fight, and then it spills out to the outside. Vince tries to use a chair. Hogan uses the chair, busts Vince open, and then the great scene of Hogan just kind of looming over Vince, grabbing him and just freaking showering right hooks down onto Vince's forehead, busting him open even worse after the chair shot. That was great imagery. Eventually, Vince gets the upper hand back, knocks Hogan out with the chair, ends up laying him over the Spanish announce table, sets up a ladder in between the announce tables, does a freaking leg drop onto Hogan through the Spanish announce table. That was a great moment. And then, I mean, you get in the ring, and Vince has the freaking lead pipe, and like that iconic moment of a bloodied crimson mask wearing Vince McMahon creeping up above the apron just into visibility. Legendary. Gets in the ring, and that was when Hogan did the Hogan comeback. He did, Vince is trying to hit him. He's trying to punch him. Hogan does the head shake. He does the finger wag. He does the 3 punches. He does the big boot. Eventually, there was a point in this when Roddy Piper showed up. Both guys were laid out. Roddy Piper showed up and kind of like kicks Vince McMahon a little bit, and then he grabs the pipe that Vince got, slams it on Hogan, and then I think that actually happened before the Hogan comeback, because I think then when Vince recovered before Hogan, that was when the comeback happened. Hogan drops 2 or 3 legs on Vince. There was a big referee controversy where Sylvain Grenier tried to become the referee, and I don't think he lasted very long. And then there was another referee, like Sparks, I think his name was, and he ended up being the one, I think, that finally counted to 3. So, man, this was crazy and shenanigan-laced and bloody and just amazing.
Yeah, dude, this was pro wrestling at its finest. Because if we're like that pro wrestling is a kind of theater and artistry and all that stuff, I felt like the no holds barred stipulation helped immensely with this. Because again, you talk about like Vince being bloodied with the chair shot and that image of him getting the pipe, that smile, if that smile doesn't say, yeah, I got you where I want you now, Hogan, you son of a bitch, like nothing does. Like he knew he was in control. He's like, I'm gonna kill Hulkamania. And yeah, it just great character work from both guys. I mean, really all Hogan has to do is be Hogan. But man, for as much of a piece of shit as Vince is, as a character, he can be one hell of a villain. And I kind of weep thinking, you know, Stephanie, you're never going to be that, ever. Because yeah, he put Hogan over. He put everybody over that he was in the ring with, more or less. And yeah, 3 leg drops to beat Vince. But I got to tell you, while all that stuff was great, I always love in the post-match when Vince is in a Mania match, he always manages to get that bird up and flip off everybody, because when Shane's checking on him, he says that last
And you know what? We were talking about, like, you know, Shawn or HBK or, goddamn, Jericho, Y2J, all these letters, son of a bitch, doing, like, the shuffle to make the super kick his own. Vince McMahon has a very iconic middle finger because, like, when he does it, he doesn't put all of his other fingers down all the way. He, like, holds up the first knuckle and just bends the rest of his fingers. And it's weird because, like, I don't know, like he pushes his other fingers out and then curls them. And then, like, his middle finger is, like, it's weird. Like, Vince McMahon, like, when the way he flips the bird has always been really weird. And that makes it stand out. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's the Vince bird.
Yeah, dude, I remember the one at WrestleMania 22, too, like after Shawn Michaels beat him and he's on the stretcher and he still manages to get it up. Fuck you. You know, and it's the same thing in 19, like he's bleeding, his son's checking on him. Hey, Shane, is he seeing it? Is he seeing that I'm flipping him off? Yeah, Dad, you did good. All right. I'm still going to kill Hulkamania, Shane.
Dude, what was the point of Shane coming out at the end?
Dude, that was kind of weird because I don't know. Because
you know what that reminded me of, though?
What's that?
That almost reminded me of, like, a Karate Kid thing where, like, at the end of the Karate Kid, Johnny, like, gets obliterated by Daniel because Daniel knows technique and he does the crane kick. And then, like, just, like, after Johnny was a complete prick and, like, going after the injured leg and just being a total dick, his parents come to pick him up. And there's just, like, this moment of, like, well, Johnny, you're a scumbag, but we've got to take you home, so let's get out of here. And, like, that's what this was to me. Like, Shane McMahon showing up as, like, this disappointed parent and being like, well, Vince, you're still a complete asshole, but let's get you cleaned up and get you the hell out of here so that people don't start realizing that you're in the middle of this ring and start, like, running in here to try and beat you up.
And I'm sorry, dude. Like, I genuinely apologize, but obviously whenever we do anything TWitWoW related, we're gonna do it being us and having our opinions and our notions of people. And when I'm watching Vince make his entrance, because everybody is always like, oh yeah, he works out like a freak and everything, and the way he walks and, like, just you know, that Vince McMahon walk, I wonder, like, how many times a day, especially back then, he'd look in the mirror and be like, yeah, I'd fuck me, damn it. Yeah, like,
hey, John.
Yeah.
Look at that vein, damn it.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. Yeah. And anybody that wouldn't fuck me, you're fired.
No, John, you've got to get more growl in there. It's you're fired. I wonder if, like, the ego that you're referring to is why he scripted himself to make out with multiple divas over the course of time. Like,
probably.
You know what? Screw Linda. She's old as hell. I can do so much better than her. I'm going to start making out with divas and decide which one I want to marry.
And knowing Vince, if Linda ever confronted him about it, like, Vince, why do you do this? And he's like, honey, look at me.
You can't do better than me, damn it.
You can't do better than me. We're going to have sexual harassment suits. I thought we could avoid it altogether just by writing it in storyline. Okay? That's it. But yeah.
Seriously, Linda, look at this body.
I have for God knows how many years, and you wonder how I went into that catatonic stay in that one storyline. But yeah, I mean, this was a great match, and Vince is just a great character villain, and Hulkamania, no matter the sex tapes, no matter the racism, Hulkamania will always live somewhere. And that was certainly evident here at 19 because this crowd was so pro Hogan. I mean, this is before all that shit came out, obviously, but you get my point.
All these 20-year-old girls want my grapefruits, damn it.
Yeah, but it's nothing compared to Brooks' legs, brother. Oh my god. All right, we can move on. I'm good.
Well, up next was Austin Rock.
Oh, dude, I love this.
Yeah, I mean, this was a really fun match, but I have 2 words to describe it. That's exactly why I don't think it's the best Austin Rock match.
What's that?
Finisher fest.
Yeah, you're right. You're not wrong. But you know what, though? Like, that's, like, you're not wrong. And I will concede that ground. But why I think I'm more
I mean, to be fair, honestly, this was before finisher fests were really, like, common in, like, indie wrestling and stuff. So I guess I can kind of give it a little bit of a pass for that. But it's still a finisher fest.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. I'm not going to try and deny it.
This was a finisher fest before finisher fests were cool, damn it.
Exactly. But you know, like, why I forgive it, one, for that point you noted, I don't think it was really common back then, especially because all I watched as a kid was WWE, so I didn't even know anything else. And 2, you know, and that's the beauty of this match. And again, we talk about what pro wrestling is. Now, I love technical wrestling. I know Brandon loves technical wrestling. Like, we all love our good, like, amateur, like, ground stuff. But this really is what pro wrestling is, because Rock and Austin, you're not going to see German suplexes or fireman's carries. Like, one of the primary pieces of offense in this match were right hands. It's just the idea that it's Rock and Austin and it's Mania. So this match was atmosphere, it was characters, and I think for that, I can forgive the finisher fest, because if anybody can pull it off and have the right to pull it off, it's these 2 names. And, you know...
and by the way, I just want to say this, controversial or not, I don't care. Okada Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom 10 was better than this.
And I would agree with that.
And just to be clear, it wasn't just better than this because it was a better match. I think it was also better built, and it actually main evented the show it was on, whereas this was the semi-main.
Exactly. And, you know, for me, like, I look at this match and the story behind this match. I'm not even talking about, like, the story that we saw, but, like, the story as far as, like, these 2 guys, you know, that's always really cool, because in Stone Cold's book, The Stone Cold Truth, because when I was a kid, another thing I loved to do, I used to love getting wrestlers' biographies, you know, like that. I just loved reading that stuff. And Austin, you know, I'm amazed he was even able to do this match, because he was hospitalized a short time before this, because he was working out so much and he was so worried about getting into ring shape. Like, he was, I think, drinking like Red Bulls or some type of energy drink at the time, and like wanted to keep going and working out. His heart was like freaking the fuck out. Like, Steve, what the hell are you doing? And yeah, he got hospitalized. He was really scared he was even going to die before this match. And yeah, he was still able to make it, and he put in that effort. I got to give The Rock credit, because I noticed people in chat, and I noticed when I was researching this match, like after it happened, before we went live, like a lot of people credit The Rock, and I can see why. Rock actually demonstrated psychology for the first little bit of this match, working over the leg of Austin. I appreciated that. I like the bit of character work where he put Austin's vest on. And, I mean, yeah, these guys exchanging finishers, like Austin doing the Rock Bottom, Rock doing the Stunner, and then 3 Rock Bottoms. You know, yeah, definite finisher fest, but I think when you've got the characters that these 2 guys have, and you consider the time, and you consider, like, what they're known for anyway, it makes sense that this is what the match would be. And I still loved it because, you know, the rivalry was built in. And then you think about, like, after the match, when he shoves Hebner away, and The Rock says, you know, I love you, man. Thank you so much for doing this for me. And they have that heart-to-heart. Just like the whole story of the match really resonates with me. And, yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I thought this was great.
Yeah, this was fun. And that really is the best way that I can describe this match. This was just a fun match. Austin really... I don't get me wrong. I love The Rock. I've always been a big fan of The Rock. But really, Austin is just the freaking man.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And you know what? I mean, it was cool that Rock went over. And again, like, a lot of people giving, like, Rock praise in this match. And it makes sense, because then at the backlash after this, he'd put over Goldberg, because Goldberg returned to the company.
That's right. And you know who else ended up putting over Goldberg, kind of, sort of, was Triple H.
Yeah, kinda, sorta. Jesus Christ, that chamber.
Well, no, I mean the career versus title match is more what I'm talking about when
Well, yeah,
Goldberg
I
won
know
the
what you were
title.
talking about, but like, yeah, it was a rough road getting there. Cause yeah, that chamber finish. Oh my god.
I mean, to be fair, that was ridiculous. But then like Triple H won the title off Michaels a month later anyway.
Actually, yeah, it wasn't even it was an Armageddon triple threat. Goldberg, Kane, and Triple H. And who does Triple H pin? Goldberg. After Kane gets the choke slam, and we're still thinking, wow, is this monster Kane gonna get the title? Nope, because Kane while Triple H gets the pin. Fuck Triple Drake. But yeah, Rock Austin.
I mean, hey, at least Goldberg held the title for
2 months, I think.
8 weeks. Yeah,
8 weeks. Yeah, so glad I mean, man, Triple H's arms must have really been getting tired, holding that belt. But man, thank goodness Goldberg was there, huh? I don't know what we would have done. Fucking asshole. But speaking of people that aren't assholes, at least as far as like the politicking and stuff goes, Austin gives a salute to Seattle. Again, great emotional affair. Hell, when Rock won, he was so happy. He celebrated with his family. He wasn't even too heelish. Again, he even thanked Austin. Middle of the ring. Didn't even want Hebner to be a part of this conversation. Like, get out of here, you nerd. So yeah, fun semi-main event. But I've said all I can say about that. So let's get to this main event match here.
Oh boy, Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle, and you know what? I actually quite enjoyed this, and I think honestly that they would have been better off not even acknowledging that Brock connected with Kurt and just trying to play it off like Kurt got out of the way.
Right. Because yeah, you could.
Because I think that's what Taz said at first, and then like a few seconds later they were like, "Oh, I don't think Lesnar connected with all of that shooting star." Like that was the mistake right there. You should have been like, "Oh, Kurt got out of the way of the shooting star. This was ridiculous. I can't believe it." But then like Brock did recover really quickly, so maybe that wouldn't have worked out. I don't know.
Dude, and you know what? Like, from what I understand, I forget who it was that got in Brock's ear, but Brock didn't even want to fucking do this shit.
I'm guessing it was John Laurinaitis.
I think it was Johnny. He's like, "Oh, come on, Brock. It's WrestleMania. You gotta have a WrestleMania moment." And Brock, I would have been like, "I'm the babyface here. Me winning is the WrestleMania moment, you fucking stooge." But no,
Yeah.
let me go and almost break my fucking neck. But you know what though? Before that, I mean, it's a brilliant match that showcases both of their amateur backgrounds.
Yeah, it was Johnny Ace. Do you know what's hilarious? I didn't have any prior knowledge that somebody actually had to tell Brock to do the shooting star. The only reason that I guessed Johnny Ace is because that's the same person who told Sid to come off the middle rope when he broke his freaking leg.
What is it with John Laurinaitis and wanting big like behemoths to fly and do shit? Like, no.
But because he always did. John Laurinaitis was like an in-ring technical master when he was actually a performer. He just had the charisma of a wet paper bag.
But you know what's funny, dude? While we're on the subject of John Laurinaitis, because I mean we started this, let's finish it. He has
people power.
No, he has this fetish for big guys doing this, and yet the one big guy they could have had that could do this, he said, "Well, you're pretty much nothing anyway, more or less," in fucking Cage, because they passed on him.
Yeah, they literally told him that he was, what was it, mediocre? Was that what it,
yeah,
or average?
Yeah, you're average at best. And it was John Laurinaitis, if I'm not mistaken, that told Cage that.
So oh my God. And, I mean, I don't know about a shooting star press.
If
but
anybody
Cage
could do it, it's Cage. Yeah.
Well, but even then, he historically does moonsaults in almost every match that involves more than one person.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, if you want a guy that's like got muscles everywhere, but also that athleticism, like you fucking had it. And
just whatever you do, don't ask Cage to do a lion salt because he will land on his head.
Yeah, I do remember that.
That was the first PWG show we ever watched.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude, that was crazy. But yeah, that spot aside and John Laurinaitis' idiocy aside, which that's putting a lot aside for the record. I enjoyed
Let's
this
face
match.
it, Brian. Let's face it, Brian. You're never going to be more than average. We have to let you go.
But I can do a moonsault, and the last time you had a guy do something and he almost broke his neck. Yeah.
I know, but you're coming off this injury, and you've lost a lot of your muscle. We just can't have you hanging around on the roster when you don't have much upside.
God, if Cage wanted to, with how he's the Swolverine, he could come, he could fucking pimp slap Johnny Ace now. Be like, bitch, what you fucking say about me?
And the really funny thing, too, is, like, that's a legit story. Like, people, and including myself even, people always talk about how, oh, Brian Cage, when he was in NXT, he was nowhere near as swole as he is now. But a few months back, Cage actually posted a picture of himself in like college, like in his early 20s on Twitter, and he was just as swole as he was now. Turns out he had a major leg injury that prevented him from working out big time for like 2 years straight. And that's why he lost so much weight in FCW. And the worst part is, right after he came back from the injury.
Oh, dude, that sucks. And you know what, though? That happens because I remember Kane, like, he was always, like, really ripped and, like, big looking. When he got injured, I don't know if it was, like a tricep injury or what, it was something arm-based. He lost, like, that muscle. It happens. Only difference is Cage came back and I would never want to fuck with him. I only barely fuck with this man on Twitter because he doesn't know where I live. And, yeah, John Lauren is like, oh, you're average at best. Fuck you. But yeah, back to this match because I want us to regain focus. I enjoyed it. I mean, shooting star press aside, which was a stupid fucking suggestion in the first place. I thought, again, it was a great showcase of their amateur background, and commentary even kind of, highlighted that a little bit, calling certain, like, pinning combinations. I know Taz, like, because Brock countered the ankle slam into one move, and he's like, oh, I forget what he called it, but yeah, that was one type of pin. The only thing with the shooting star press, I wish there would have been a more resistance from Kurt for the third F5. I feel like Brock got that off a little too easy. But yeah, I mean, great back and forth. You got suplexes, you got ankle locks. I mean, you got everything that I think you were really going to anticipate from these two guys. The story leading up to it was great because Kurt always avoided getting in the ring with Brock Lesnar by any measure because he knew that Brock could beat him, but he couldn't avoid it anymore at WrestleMania. And, I mean, Cole had a weird bit on commentary with, like, oh, I think that's the first time anybody kicked out of the ankle slam because Brock kicked out of it. I'm like, no, people have kicked out of it before. But he was right when Kurt was the first guy to kick out of the F5, which is another thing that made this match special. So, yeah, outside of that ending, which after that botched shooting star, I would have given at least 5 more minutes, just a bit more back and forth before that third F5. Solid match. I'd say I had fun with it.
Yeah, man. It was a solid match. The finish was questionable, but the match itself was fine. I think that the questionable finish here, the finisher fest in Rock Austin, and the just epic failure that was Booker T, Triple H, that's why, like, really my favorite match on this show, it really does come down to Jericho, Michaels, and Hogan Vince. I freaking loved Hogan Vince, man.
Yeah, Hogan Vince was great. Now that we've really had time to marinate on it, I think my match of the night really was Jericho Michaels. I mean, that was just such a brilliantly executed match. So I'm going to say that was my match of the night. On the whole, though, a great WrestleMania. I would give this a solid 9, maybe even 9.5 out of 10. I think 9's more where I'm sitting.
I would say a 9 as well. I'm going to give it a 9.
Yeah. So I've got nothing else to say, brother. Do you?
I mean, I think we've done. I think we did it. I think we managed to talk about an entire 4-hour episode of WrestleMania in an hour and a half. I'm actually impressed that we managed to keep it this succinct. But yeah, man, this was a lot of fun. Do you any kind of closing thoughts that you wanted to get out there about this WrestleMania, or any of like the any interesting stories surrounding this mania, or like anything interesting that happened with like the fallout of this mania that I don't remember? Anything?
As far as the fallout, I mean, Kurt had to go for surgery. I'm amazed Brock didn't have to go for surgery because I thought his neck got fucked
But yeah,
up.
but that's because Brock is superhuman, so.
Exactly. And he would come back as a babyface and actually get the title back from Lesnar, and they'd begin their whole program. Booker T lost all of his momentum. We addressed that. I think Jericho would briefly continue the feud with Jericho, or I should say Michaels would briefly continue the feud with Jericho. I think Jericho even got a submission win over Michaels on a Raw. I got to find that Raw match because I couldn't believe it when it happened at the time. Yeah, trying to think whatever else. I think Trish may have gone on to feud with Jazz because she had just recently come back. So yeah, when we're thinking about fallout, and yeah, Hogan, because I don't know, I know Mr. America came after this, but I know Hogan because yeah, Vince, I think the SmackDown after, didn't he fire Hogan anyway? Like something about a contract or something. He's like, oh, I still found a way to beat you, Hogan, and then we do Mr. America. And that was a whole thing. So yeah, a lot of interesting fallout from the show, but that's really all I got to say. And just one last thank you to Jarveris for the donation for making this review happen, because this is a great experience.
For sure. All right, guys. Well, this is going to be the last bit of content that you get from us this week, but this coming week is pretty loaded because we have on Monday, obviously, Monday Night Raw, TWitWoW. Tuesday night, we have live SmackDown live reactions. Wednesday will be episode 3 of Lucha Underground Rewatch Season 2, where we'll be covering episodes 5 and 6 of Lucha Underground Season 2. Wednesday night, obviously, NXT review. Thursday will be our New Japan Cup Finals live reaction. And then we get a 2-day break on Friday and Saturday, the 24th and 25th. And then it is 10 days of nothing but TWitWoW.
Yeah, guys, TWitWoW Mania is what's running wild up in this bitch. Because
brother, let me tell you something, brother. When the Hulkster gets his hands on these guys from TWitWoW, he is going to put them to work unlike anything you've ever seen before, brother. Brother, dude, Jack, brother. Because when you talk about Sunday, March 26th, you're going to be getting a WrestleMania 20 review, brother. And that's not all. Because then Monday Night Raw has to be reviewed by the TWitWoW brothers, brother. And then Tuesday night, of course, brother, you're getting your SmackDown live reactions, brother. And then Wednesday, March 29th, brother, of course, brother, you're getting WWE NXT TWitWoW, brother. And earlier in the day, of course, brother, Lucha Underground Rewatch, brother. And then Thursday, we're not done because you're getting NXT TakeOver Orlando preview and predictions, brother, dude, Jack, brother. And then on Friday, we're getting another double header, brother, because you're getting a preview and predictions for WrestleMania 33, brother. And of course, that night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, tune in for Q&A for all of the March of March, brother. And then Saturday and Sunday, it's time for Live Reaction Mania, brother, because NXT TakeOver Orlando, brother, is on March 31st. Actually, it's on April 1st. Saturday, April 1st is NXT TakeOver Orlando, brother. And then Sunday, April 2nd, brother, is WrestleMania 33 live reactions, brother. And then on April 3rd and 4th, brother, you're getting live reactions to Raw and SmackDown Live, brother. I hope you're ready, brother, because it's not even over then, brother, because then on Wednesday, April 5th, you're getting more Lucha Rewatch, brother, and more NXT, brother. Brother.
I gotta be honest, I commend you for keeping it together, because that was so close to being two brothers towards the end. Like, brother. Like, I just thought you were just gonna laugh and just let the laughs roll, but you kept it together. So kudos to you. But yeah, guys, it is stacked. I'm not even gonna go over all that shit again, because you just heard it here first from my cord and commentary. So Ashton, I leave it to you. Great review. I had a lot of fun. Take us home, man.
All right, guys. I've got to keep it together now because that was ridiculous. We'll see everybody on Monday for our Raw review. Hopefully it doesn't suck as much as usual, but it probably will. Hope everybody enjoyed this, and we'll see you then. Stay tuned.